spent 2 days on it. Actually, 2 or 3 days. So, as I told you before, there's many, many different methods of factoring quadratic equations, or quadratic expressions in this case. This is just one way. It's called factoring using the diamond method. Eventually, you guys are going to, we're going to use the standard form of a quadratic equation, okay? And that standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are what? Coefficients, right? They're just a number being multiplied to the variable. Well, I know you're all wondering, you're saying, well, c isn't a coefficient, it's not being multiplied by a variable. I have a tendency to argue with you. Okay? If you notice, in standard form, my exponents are in descending order. X squared, x to the first. So what's my exponent for this variable here? That's right, 0. Anything raised to the 0 power is 1. 1 times a constant c is just c. That's why we normally don't put the x to the 0 there. Okay? When we use diamonds, what we are doing here, let's take a quick look at number 9 first. Okay? If there's not a coefficient there, what is it? What's the number? 1. Okay. So this is my a is, well, my a is a coefficient of x squared, so my a here is 1. My b here is 8. And my c would be 16. Okay. Now, what this diamond method does is it takes our c and puts it in, I'm going to go to number 1 because it's a little easier. It puts my c in there. Okay. And that becomes a multiplication problem. And the bottom diamond in this big diamond is an addition problem. And my addition ends up to be my b. Okay, so my multiplication, this number comes from my c, this number comes from my b. You have to figure out these two numbers. So here we go. Now, 9 doesn't have anything to do with 1. I'm just telling you where these numbers come from. So here's what I need. I need two numbers that multiply to 8, because I have two little diamonds. So they have to multiply to 8, and then they have to add up to -6. So I'm going from, there's two ways I can get a positive 8. Right? I could either multiply a positive number times a positive number, or I can multiply a negative number times a negative number. So in this case, which one do you think I'm going to end up doing? Yeah, I'm going to be multiplying two negatives to get my positive, because when I add these two numbers together, they have to add up to -6.
2.
And he's factored before, because 4 times 2, -4 times -2 is +8. -4 plus -2 is -6. See how easy that is? Easy peasy, right?
Easy. Yeah.
How about number 2? Two numbers that multiply, have to multiply to -16 and add up to 0. Now again, this one's positive. The only way I can get, I'm sorry, this one's negative. The only way I can multiply two numbers together to get a negative number is a positive times a negative. That one, we don't have a choice. Right, Esco? Stop being such juvenile delinquents. Okay, two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 16 and add up to 0. If I have two numbers that add up to 0, it has to be what? The same number. One's negative, one's positive, right?
4 and 4.
4 and 4. Okay. Positive 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Positive 4 plus negative 4 is 0. How about number 3? Okay, they have to multiply to a negative number. The only way I'm going to multiply to a negative number is what, Levi? That's right, one positive and one negative. So, two numbers that multiply to negative 28 and add up to negative 12. Well, there's a couple ways we can do this. We can actually list out, remember the factors of 28 like we did in 11.2 and 11.1. 4 and 7. No, 4 and 8 is 32. 4 and 7 is 28. Okay. Now we could try 4 and 7. Now the bigger one's going to have to be negative, because when I add them together, I'm going to have to end up with a negative number. So my bigger number is going to have, my bigger factor, let's say factor, is going to have to be on the negative side. So Dewey wants me to try 4 and 7. Okay, positive 4 times negative 7 is indeed negative 28, but when I add positive 4 and negative 7, I get negative 3, not negative 12. So, close, but not quite. Good try. What's up? Two other factors. Okay, so 28. What are my factors? 1 and 28.
3 and 7.
2, not 7. 14. That sounds like if I add those together, I might get a 12. So let's try it. Let's see, I want my bigger number to be negative because I add up to a negative number. So I'm going to put the 14 here and the 2 there. I know they multiply to negative 28, and they do indeed add up to negative 12. Let's do number 5. Okay. So this is multiply. This is add. This is a negative number. The only way I can get a negative number and multiply is positive and negative. Okay. 2 factors of 18 that add up to 17. This is the case where students usually forget the obvious. How about 1 and 18? 1 times 18. Let's see, we want a positive number, so I'm going to put my big number positive, small number negative. Don't they add up to 17? Many times students forget that obvious 1 times 18, or, you know, that factor 1 times anything. Okay. When we get to the next section, we're going to be using this A, B, and C an awful lot. All right, let's do number 10. If you notice, this entire worksheet, front and back, my A's are all what? One. Yeah. It's because these are probably the easiest to factor of all the quadratics. We want to get some practice factoring quadratics before we get into A's being larger than 1 or smaller. Okay? So A's we don't have to worry about. We're going to draw our diamonds. Now, after a couple of these, a lot of students are like, I don't even need the diamond, I can do it in my head. That's what we're hoping for as mathematics teachers, that you guys do this stuff in your head. Alright, so number 10, I'm going to draw my diamond. Doesn't have to be pretty. I'm going to put my B here. My A's on all of these are 1, so I'm not even going to put them down. What's my B?
9.
Yeah, my B is 9. What's my C? 20, positive 20. Remember, these have to multiply. These have to add. Two numbers that are I'm sorry, I got these backwards, don't I? My C goes up on top. I'm so sorry, guys. Two numbers that let me get my white out. My fault, big shots. Thankfully, you guys aren't using pens. Okay, so my C's go up here, and my B goes to addition. So my C is 20, positive 20. My B is 9. Okay, two numbers that multiply to get 20 and add up to 9. 5 and 4. Thank you. Now, those actually become my factors, and you guys should start writing out the factors, if anything, just to get some practice. Right? These are going to be my this is called factor form. I'm going to have my x here and my x here. This is a positive 5, so I'm going to put positive 5 here, and this is a positive 4. I'm going to put my positive 4 there. Hopefully, you'll get to the point where you can go from looking at the quadratic to putting it in factored form and maybe skipping all this stuff. So if I give you about, I don't know, 500-600 of these problems, you should be able to do that, right? Wow. Not even a mean grin. All right, number 11. Put your little diamond here. My C goes up here, which is, now this is my C, 14, positive 14. My B, negative 9. So I have two numbers that multiply to a positive and add up to a negative. Yep, they're going to have to be negatives. And two factors that multiply to 14, add up to 9. 7 and 2. Good. And you guys should get in the habit of writing these. Let's see. X minus 7. X minus 2. Can anybody do this without the diamond method? Okay, we know we have an X here. We have an X here. This is going to be positive 32. Remember, that's my C. Multiplies to a positive and adds up to a positive. So my signs are going to be positive, right? Two numbers that multiply 32 add up to 12. 8 and 4. How about 16 right underneath it? Here's my factors, x and x. Let's see, we've got they have to multiply to a positive, add up to a negative, so they're going to be negatives, right? 4 and 4. From this point on, in Algebra 1, you should get 100% in every quiz, right? Because how can I see if this is right? I can multiply it back out. I can distribute it, and it should equal what I started with. X times x squared, x times negative 4, negative 4x, negative 4 times x, negative 4x, negative 4 times negative 4 is a positive 16. Combine your like terms, x squared minus 8x plus 16. When they were we're switching over to the Common Core, which you guys all love, they were actually going to put in, not only can students factor, but they wanted you to check every single problem you did in mathematics. But somehow it just didn't get in. You guys it was so unfortunate when they did that, because it cut your work in half. All right, need some more practice problems? Are you guys good? Yes? No? Don't disturb me while I'm listening to my music, Mr. D?
Yeah.
That was a rhetorical question, by the way. Do you need help? Anybody not understand this? Wow.